Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another fantastic night of Fandom Access. I'm your ever faithful host, AJ. Greetings and salutations, and Jamie is here, and Karen will be with us shortly. What are we talking about tonight?
Got me. No, The Ones Who Live and Resident Alien and Constellation and Three Body Problem and whatever you guys have seen of Shogun, because I haven't caught up.
Yes.
And I am busy trying to get 20,000 things done at once. I am I was
so
rushing
unusual.
to get here in time. I'm like, I gotta get on. So I'm like trying to look stuff up here to try to make sure I have everything in front of me. But did you watch anything else this week?
No. At least I don't think so.
You don't think so? That's helpful. All right. Well, I don't know that it's kind of hard to start without Karen here, because we usually start with the ones who live.
Yeah, she said she'll be here in like 5 minutes, and that was 2 minutes before, so she should be here any second.
Yeah. All right.
I think she was setting some stuff up, because when I came in, none of our stuff was here. There was no banner, there was no background. I was like, "Where's all our stuff?" And then Karen came in, and all of a sudden, there it was.
It's been a long week. I was gonna put here. Although I'm still trying to make it better, I at least put up the Rishon artwork, and there's a couple random fairies and stuff that were up there from before. But if people want to check out what I got so far on the on the store that's still in progress, you can at least order Rishon, if the art for Rishon, if you wanted to, for the ones who live. But there's more coming to it. Right now, there's not a lot there, but I at least got it up. I've just been so busy lately with everything. But anyway, so I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I did see one thing. I did get to see. I can talk about this while we're waiting. Is the film Wicked Little Letters. I keep wanting to say Wicked Little Lies. I don't know why. Wicked Little Letters. That must be a list or something. I can hear somebody in your background. With Olivia Colman, because I did press for that, but I really enjoyed the movie. It's really funny. It's actually based on a true story about this in this like little town it's in England, I think, and this woman who's kind of, I guess you'd say, like repressed. She starts getting these very nasty, dirty letters, and insulting, just calling her all kinds of horrible names, and kind of what happens after that, and because she thinks it's her next door neighbor. And I'm very bad at giving summaries of things when I'm doing them out of my head instead of reading them on paper. But it's really funny. I really enjoyed it. And I mean, look, I want to tell you, I'm so bad at remembering even people's names. I don't want to say the wrong. It's with Olivia Colman and Jessie Buckley. And I had talked to Olivia Colman and the director, Thea Schrock, and also Anjana Vasan, who I had talked to before for Killing Eve. So that will be up soon. And then I have, all the stuff for American Rust going up soon as well, which will be at least some of it hopefully tomorrow, the interviews for that. And then we also covered Alex Rider for this season, but I didn't do that because that was the day, I think that was the day I'd been sick. I don't know, but at any rate, Suzanne did that, and that'll be going up somewhat soon. So it's all coming. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I watched though, that I can talk about, because a lot of the stuff I watch, like, I'm not allowed to talk about, and I'm like, I don't want to.
It's always the problem.
Yeah, because the other thing I saw, and I was trying to see if I wanted to make sure before I say a whole lot that there's not an embargo. So I'm always like being careful, because I watched a couple things actually. I watched dinner with the parents was for the press day that I did. And actually, I don't see anything about an embargo for that, so that's okay. But that's coming on Freevee soon, and that is a comedy based on. It's called Friday. I have the name here. It's a remake of the UK series Friday Night Dinner. And that is with Michaela Watkins, Dan Backendell, Carol Kane. It's really funny. I did those today. Actually, if people would need to watch the video interviews when they come up, because that's like, I don't think I've ever laughed so much doing interviews as I did today with them. It was a lot of fun. They're funny, especially Carol Kane. I enjoyed talking to her too.
Carol Kane's great.
Yeah, she's awesome. So those are forthcoming. And then the only other thing I wanted to say, which I believe there is an embargo on this, so I don't want to. I'm going to double check, but I think there's an embargo, so I don't want to say anything because, yeah, all reviews are embargoed for a while. But I watched Dark Matter, which is the new show coming to Apple TV, which is based on the Blake Crouch book, which is so good. I just watched it because I wanted to watch it. I'm like, I got to watch this because I have access to it, and I really liked it. So
I watched the trailer. I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, that looked pretty good. And like I said, Artie read it a while ago, and he absolutely loved it. So when he found out they were making a TV show out of it, first thing he said was, he's like, they better do it right. So
well, I haven't read the book, but I really like the series a lot. But I can't really say anything other than that because we're not allowed to even post reviews. So, but it's
Karen, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Karen.
Hello.
What's going on?
Well, we've been here waiting.
Another day.
I know. I'm sorry. I had a deadline to send an email for work by 10 o'clock tonight.
At least you showed up, unlike me last week.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. I'm like tonight, I'll tell you, I'll be honest. I'm just like really scatterbrained. Like not that that's new, but no, I just mean, I don't know. Like I'm like thinking of 20, you know how sometimes like you just have 20 things in your head at once and you just like can't shut the rest off in order to get it going. We have, okay, that's you in the chat. I'm like, somebody sent me a message. That was you. Yeah. So, all right. Do you want to start with the ones who live like we usually do?
Sure. Yep. Yeah. Episode 5, second to last episode. It was kind of ridiculous. I mean, it was typical Walking Dead that like defies belief. The way people like
the fact that they keep finding each other. Yes, I will give you that.
The fact that Jadis was able to track Rick and Michonne across the country was ridiculous and like not believable in any way. It was like Scott Gimple times 10.
Well, aside from that part, did you like, because I've tried to some of that suspend my disbelief. I mean, you're right. She can't track them across the country, and I doubt. Well, I mean, she could have went back to Alexandria because she knew where they were. I mean, that part.
I mean, the part where she says I just had a really bad feeling, and I checked the satellite photos, and there was a yellow car, and then the yellow car was gone, and I knew it was you, which is ridiculous because anybody could have taken the yellow car. And she goes, Jamie, I followed your trail of ramen noodle wrappers down Route 90. What?
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I don't know. I mean, it didn't bother me, but I know.
Bother you? How can that not bother you?
Because that kind of thing isn't. I don't know. I mean, that's not really what I'm concerned with. I'm watching and enjoying the rest of the show. No, you're right. That doesn't work. That doesn't happen.
An absolute insult to our intelligence.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That part didn't work. But aside from the technicalities, I mean, I don't know. I liked the episode. Overall I liked the episode. It was a little crazy, but it was, I mean, it was like fun and crazy. I thought. I don't know. I liked seeing Seth Gilliam. I don't know that I was surprised they brought him back. I don't know that necessarily Gabriel needed to be in the series because I don't know that there was necessity, I guess. But Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Ark's saying sorry. I'm really behind. Yeah, it threw me that Jadis kept throwing up, kept showing up. See, you can see how well I can talk today.
No,
Kept
I
showing up.
kept throwing up at this show.
Oh, but aside from that, I was gonna say, I thought it was kind of crazy fun. I enjoyed the episode. I liked seeing him. Did he need to be in this story necessarily? No, but since they were wrapping up Jadis's story, there wasn't a lot, another way to do it. Honestly, I had completely forgotten they were even together.
I
I
did
was
too.
like,
I had to go back and
all I kept thinking about was her being with Rick before, and I kept thinking about her trying to get people in the helicopter. I was thinking that she turned Gabriel in, but that's how much I remember. It's been way too long. I was thinking she turned him into the CRM or something, so I definitely did not remember that they were together. That being said, I mean, I liked seeing their scenes together, but I kind of feel like when Gabriel saw her, as much as they're sort of I guess together, like it more made sense to me if he was talking to her from a priest standpoint, because she's
well, he kind of was.
Yeah, he was. But I mean, like, I didn't necessarily, like, I knew after remembering that they had a romance, and obviously they showed, pieces or whatever. But like, I can see him coming to see her every year to talk to her because she needs guidance in that. And he's trying to kind of push her on the right path. But I don't know that I necessarily during these scenes saw any, like, I don't want to say I didn't see chemistry. I didn't see any romance between the two of them for these scenes, really. Like, it didn't play that way. It wasn't done that way. Which, considering the fact that they seemed to think it was important to bring him back before Jadis was done. That sort of, I guess, surprised me. Like, I expected it to be, if I had thought about it ahead of time and like had remembered the relationship from the very beginning, I would have expected it to be a more touching, romantic, I guess, connection. I mean, it's interesting, though, I think, to see year after year to kind of see her changes in the way she acts. The only thing, though, I will just say real noodles. Sorry, I was reading what she said. The thing that kind of threw me, and I need to go back and rewatch part of it, but okay, I really did like how they had a lot of the episode, like, first of all, a lot of the episode, I'm sure you noticed, was like really bright, like overly bright and cheery, like it never looks like that on this show. And you know what I mean? Like sun shining, it seemed very happy, and they were happy. And it's like, something bad's going to happen because I can't last. So I liked how they kind of did that. And I liked how they had they kind of tied it together with how, the beginning was with that group where it shows that, like, Rick and Michonne, even to their detriment, that they give people a chance and that maybe they shouldn't. Although I did love she took the noodles back. That was funny. But it ends up hurting them in the end because they help Jadis. And I think you could see that coming, especially when she's like, "You're tall." Like, she got that look, like this smile on her face, this like evil smile. I'm like, she's totally gonna either pretend that she's dead and use her body or do something with her. Kind of like you knew that.
Oh yeah, you knew she was gonna kill her, take her clothes.
Oh, I like the way they did that, the way she filmed that scene. It's like you could just see it like that, glint in her eyes of what was that she had something planned. But I guess what kind of confused me is through the whole thing where Rick and Michonne are fighting against her, and I mean, you can tell when they're talking together that they're totally gonna double, whatever you want to call it, double bluffer or whatever, that they're not going to do what she wants. But what kind of, I don't know, didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and maybe I didn't quite get it, and that's why I said I feel like I want to rewatch it, is she was so against them going against the CRM, and to her that was important to keep that community. But at the very end, it was almost like right before she died, it was almost like she was kind of like, I want you to, I don't know. I got the opinion almost that she wanted them to succeed, like when she gives them the ring and everything. And it just seemed like a really quick, I don't know, change. And that's why I said, I kind of wonder if maybe I didn't take it quite the right way, because it just seemed to shift really quick to me. So I don't know, something in there. But I did like the thing with the ring, and that that she gave him the ring that Gabriel had. I kind of was hoping that at some point during the whole conversation, she was going to tell Gabriel that Rick was alive, but that obviously didn't happen. Ark is saying, I assume she means Jadis had referred to him in episode 3 about killing everyone in Alexandria, even the one she cared about. Let's see. It was back to when Rick and Michonne first came together. Yeah, I mean, it was from a long time ago, but yeah, I don't know. Other than that, the whole like action sequence, I guess, of them chasing her and her chasing them, I did think that was done really well, and I enjoyed it. And I as much as I kind of like Jadis, it was satisfying when she got bit. So
I mean, I wasn't really down with the Jadis redemption arc. I mean, she has been.
I don't know. That's maybe that's what it is. Like, I don't necessarily feel like she redeemed herself. Like the whole time, she's like not willing to do anything other than go with the CRM because they're what's good, and she's done all kinds of. I mean, she tells Gabriel, this is
Jimmy,
what
every single conversation she had with Gabriel was about humanizing her and showing why she did it and what she believed in. And I don't buy any of it. I agree with Rick that Jadis did what she did, like for power and to advance herself. I don't agree that she was a true believer. And I'm not really down with I mean, she's somebody that was really great to hate, especially if you've watched. I mean, remember she joined Negan? She joined Negan in The Walking Dead. Then in The World Beyond, she joins the
CRM. Back. It's been too long. My memory does not go.
She joined Negan. Then she sells Rick to the CRM so she can join them for her own safety. Then she does all that mean shit to those little kids in World Beyond. And I really hated her more and more, and I enjoyed hating her more and more. And then I was a little irritated that the creators now wanted to give her reasons. And in the end, I'm sorry, why would Father Gabriel ever give Jadis the ring that he was going to give to, so that she has it? She just has the ring at the end to be like, oh, he wanted you to get married and he gave me this ring.
It was nice to have that kind of little tie up, but it doesn't make sense. He would have. But I guess that's although to be fair, I don't know that I necessarily think, I mean, yes, she did save herself too, but I do feel like when she turned Rick in, she also a little bit was trying to save him maybe. But my point is that through the whole episode, it's showing whether her reasons are legitimate, whether what she's telling Gabriel is true or not. In my opinion, the whole episode, the point of it about her story was saying, I believe in the CRM. Okay. They need to survive no matter what. Now, I don't know if it was just trying to beat home the fact that she wanted a community to survive. Maybe it didn't matter who it is. I don't know. But it just seems strange to me that through the whole thing, she's like CRM, CRM, CRM. And then at the very end, she's like, go, here's the ring, go ahead and take them down. I don't know if she just, it's the way she did it when she was dying. I don't know. It just didn't, it didn't work.
You can't, I just can't resolve okay, she saved Rick because she traded Rick to him because she wanted to save him, which implies good motives. Then she throws it in his face every single conversation we see them having, that he owes her for the rest of his life, I guess, because she saved his life in kind of a shitty way. And then I just don't believe that you can believe in chlorine gassing the entire city of Omaha is somehow for the benefit of mankind. And how can you know that, believe it's important, it's worth it in the end, and I'm supposed to buy this sort of I'm sorry, but any bit of humanization they gave her, for me, is erased by the fact that she knows what they're doing and she's committed to it. I mean, I just don't see there's any way Rick is going to get this ridiculously named echelon briefing next week, and any part of it is going to sound like something that a person could get on board with and believe in. When it involved killing, we know that they killed 10,000 innocent people in Omaha.
Yeah. But I mean, that's why I can get, and I was going to post when we did their arcs thing that, see, I guess she liked the redemption arc. like I get it. I just don't know that I guess I'm kind of like with Karen. I don't know that I believe Jadis a lot of it, most of it. I could see her struggle with it. I just don't know that I
believe she felt
buy some of
guilty.
it. Just
I believe,
like her character.
yeah, I believe the
Um,
guilt was real,
yeah,
but
yeah.
but she went along with it, I think, so she could be in a position of power in a safe community.
Yeah. I don't know. The thing is, Jadis has been sort of a chameleon from the beginning, and we've seen her playing so many different kind of sides to her and parts of her that it's kind of hard to know what's,
Yeah.
I guess, real
Yeah.
and what's not. But I mean, I get now that like Rick and Michonne, they got to go back and get the file. And more than that, they're going to try to stop the CRM before they come back to their kids, which I usually get upset about to begin with. I think they should be going back to their kids. But I get that. But I have to kind of question though, like why, and maybe I'm missing something in ARC. You can maybe chime in here too. Maybe I'm missing some. One thing that I kind of never got is, was she supposed to have in the file said something like directly, if something happens to me? Because if somebody finds that file, that like obviously puts Gabriel in danger too, which she seems to be, I guess, okay with if she has to, or at least she's saying that she would be. But I just question why, if the rest of the CRM find a file in her possession that says there's this group of people that exist, and they really thought Rick and Michonne were dead, why they would just go after or take time to go after Alexandria. Because I thought the point was that they didn't want anybody telling that they existed. But the people in Alexandria know nothing about it, and they haven't been back to Alexandria. Just saying Rick used to live here, I don't know, something in the connection I'm missing, because I never understood that from the beginning.
Well, if they don't have Rick and Michonne's bodies, then they can't be certain they didn't get to Alexandria and tell everyone.
Right. But I mean, that's insinuating that they would have files on everybody that's there, and anybody that happened to live someplace else, that they're going to go destroy everybody's home. Anybody who gets out, I guess. I guess that's the point. Maybe they would, but
nobody gets out.
But they also kind of have no reason to think that they were alive, other than Jade. Yeah, Jadis figured they were alive. She went and tracked it down, but she didn't tell anybody.
Nope.
So I just kind of feel like if Jadis ended up dead and Rick and Michonne ended up dead, I'm not sure that they would have a reason to necessarily go after them.
Yes, they would, because they live inside our TV, and therefore they have to live by the rule that if you don't see a body, Michonne already she didn't see Rick's body, so she like ditched her kids and went walking around the country looking for him.
This is true.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's true. I don't know. I just kind of didn't quite get, like, I understand that they need that to be the foil, and the reason that, because there has to be a reason for them to go back. Otherwise they might not go back. Then they might just go get an RJ.
We don't, I mean, why did they gas 10,000 people, kill 10,000 people? I don't think they gassed them where they did. Why did they gas Michonne and her friends for just walking down the street? Right? Like,
no, yeah. They don't want to leave people behind and have any chance of being discovered, I guess, is the there were some things I did like, though. Like, I did like the happy moments. Like I said, you knew they weren't going to stay happy, but I liked them. I liked how he got her like the necklace and broke off the rest of the name and gave it. I like, there was things like that were just, I thought were sweet.
I mean, I've said many times, I never really bought Rick and Michonne together, and I do now in this show. I enjoyed their like fun little road trip across the country. I enjoyed their run-in with those three like down on their luck idiots in the woods, who I can't believe those people even lived this long.
Yeah, I know. And he's like, I will give you one chance. He's like, we can roll it back. And the guy's like, no. And he's like, I'll go back. Because, I mean, you knew they were going to beat their asses. But I did like I said, I did like that she took the noodles back. And especially that he commented, he's like, I was surprised you took the noodles back.
I wasn't.
Silly, but it was something that made, that was made to be funny, and I like.
It kind of like showed that a different attitude towards people. Like, they don't kill people unnecessarily. Arc's asking, did I like the toothpaste scene? I had forgotten that there was a previous toothpaste scene in the earlier show. Until Rick said, like, well, like you asked me before. I liked it. What threw me was when Rick goes, I was in love with my son's best friend. And I felt that was a little, I don't know, soap opera. Like like, I mean, Carl was a little kid and Michonne was like his friend, but she wasn't, I mean, it wasn't like he was in love with another 12-year-old, right? She's a
I
grown
know. I
woman.
thought that was
Like,
a little weird the way they worded it too.
yeah, that was a little, that like threw me a little bit, but it was cute. The toothpicks were cute. It was, they were believable as a couple that hasn't seen each other in a long time and is like getting to know each other again. And their journey was kind of fun. Uh, the idea that the zombies in Yellowstone are different because they live near these like hot springs and some of them have calcified heads and some of them are like waterlogged. That was kind of fun. I like, that was kind of cool.
There was a lot of Easter eggs.
There were. I mean, it was okay. I just feel like this, like Jadis being like the all powerful super, she's like the Terminator that can like hunt you down no matter where you go in the country with her super powered abilities.
How the one thing I did want to mention when you were saying though, I was thinking about, I did like the car chase too. Like a car chase is not something you expect to see in Walking Dead.
Yeah,
Because,
you're right.
Cool. I enjoyed that. And that's what I said. Like, are there some inconsistencies and things that you have to suspend your disbelief? Yeah.
Oh my God, you're so much more forgiving than I am.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I watch it for entertainment. I don't watch it for scientific and always inaccuracies, and like I can forgive stuff like that a lot of times if I enjoy the character stuff. And I did. I get where you're coming from, and I totally see it, but I don't know. I mean, I overall liked it.
I want the writers to at least attempt to have some sort of coherent story where people behave the way actual human beings behave. I don't need it to be scientifically accurate. I can believe in zombies, but I need like there to be some like sense to what people do. And the idea that somehow like Jadis literally found a noodle wrapper and knew, why would she even know it was their noodles? Like, did she know that car had 1,000 boxes of noodles in the back seat? Like, what? I
mean, I kind of assumed that the things she saw, like the truck being on and that she guessed it was them. I don't know that there's no way she could know it was them. You're right. But I assumed that she did not believe they died and she followed those clues. Because, yeah, there's no way she would know it was them. I guess she just took it upon her belief that it was them, I guess.
Well, and you'd only like eat a pack of noodles like every 8 hours, right? Like, come on, like it'd be every like 1,000 miles. She'd have to like walk 1,000 miles, and she's like drive 1,000 miles and be like, oh.
The other thing, maybe if they weren't driving, it would have made a little more sense. Like if it was like through the woods or something, she followed trails. But I forgot that she followed it the way they drove. I don't know how you could have anywhere close enough to each other that you could drop a pack of noodles unless you were doing it on purpose.
I did think that Rick and Michonne were maybe a little careless and overconfident about being in that cabin with light, with candlelight and a fire and getting a little drunk. And,
I think they've been at the CRM too long. They forget you can't do that. I would definitely will say that.
Or not be the CRM, but they're so like, we can do anything in this world. They're very kind of filled with hubris. So you could kind of see that wasn't going to go well, that either the idiots in the woods or Jadis was going to get them in that cabin. Because when's the last time you saw people not like keep watch at night when you're like, somebody's got to keep the first watch and stay awake when you're in a situation like that, right? When you're not behind walls. It was a little careless.
Yeah, no, that I agree with. I mean, like I said, I liked seeing them kind of carefree though, but yeah, I feel like maybe they've just they've wanted and missed each other so much that they're kind of becoming careless because all they're thinking about is let's spend this time we have together, and they need to be more vigilant and think about that. But yeah, what I was going to say, like I said, I almost feel like maybe she should have chased him through the woods rather than through the road, or if there had been like oil mark or something on the road that she followed, they could have said rather than I don't know. I kind of feel though like maybe the whole noodle thing was also done sort of for comedic relief a little bit.
Maybe.
Sort of funny, not necessarily
Maybe.
realistic. And their arc's right. Rick did set a wire in the bedroom to catch them. I mean, I think as soon as they left that group of people, you knew they were coming. Something was going to happen with them, and that's why I said I kind of appreciate that, because that's something that we have had from the beginning, and it's kind of shifted over time that they give people chances. And Rick, for a while, was not necessarily giving people as many chances, and you know what I mean? Like the whole, like, how many people have you killed type of thing. And he's a little over trusting here, but I kind of question some of that is almost like an influence of Michonne. Cause I liked how they were kind of like this tag team. Like they're just going through killing walkers and just having fun crossing the country. I don't know. Like it was just a cool sort of, way they did it. But like I said, yeah, they need to definitely realize that they're happy they're back together, but you can't just forget about what you've learned. I think he's been out of that for years. She hasn't been there as long. Like he's been at the CRM for so long. Like I think sort of just has forgotten how hard, how much you have to pay attention, I guess.
Maybe or he goes out routinely and kills zombies every day.
True. But I'm just saying he's not used to fighting people, I guess, as much as he necessarily was before.
Oh yeah. Well, AJ has an oar.
It sounds to me like if they weren't careless, then Jadis couldn't have found them. Walking Dead writing at its finest.
Yeah. The plot armor had to like slip a little bit right there for them to
Jamie, you make too many excuses for the writers. Like I love when you like agree with Karen and you're like, you're right, Karen, you're right. But maybe they did it because of this. Stop giving them excuses.
I still enjoy the show, whether it's got some problems or not. I can still enjoy it.
Yeah.
And now Ark is asking if we saw the stuff. Yeah, they didn't really confirm it. I mean, Gimple just said anything's possible. My question is, and this is why I know you had said, oh, there's not going to be more, and they're making it sound like there could be. I guess my question is, what I'm wondering is how they can wrap this whole story up in one episode. Like, I just don't see it completely being wrapped up. I was really hoping that they would at least have him get back to the kids by the end of the episode, but considering there's only one left, I don't know that that's going to happen. And that's why I question, do they plan to come back? Is it a possibility? I mean, a lot of times, and this isn't just AMC, this isn't just Walking Dead. I know Walking Dead has all the spinoffs and keeps going, but a lot of shows do say this is a limited series, and then they change their mind as soon as it does good. To be fair, it's not like it's only them. So I could see it happening, but do, Denai and Andrew want to spend more years in this universe? I don't know.
I mean, there is a lot to wrap up. I mean, Michonne's like, okay, we'll go. Now they're in Yellowstone. They have to go all the way back to the West Coast to get the files at the Cascade base. Then they have to go to wherever Terry O'Quinn is to get the echelon briefing. If Jadis wasn't lying, that Rick is being read in on the inside. And then they have to, I don't know if he's in Oregon or Philly. And then they have to like take down the CRM somehow, the whole CRM in one episode. Yeah, it is kind of a lot to have. And then Alexandria, which, I was reading, I think I was reading Eric Kane's review this week. I think it was Eric Kane who pointed out they're going back to Alexandria, but the last time we saw Judith, she lived at the Commonwealth in Ohio. Right?
Well, but they know where she's at least. They can tell them. But yeah, you're right. If they showed up in Alexandria,
their kids aren't going to be there. Daryl took the kids to the Commonwealth, and that's where
you're right. I've told you before, though, I can't keep track of locations. I gave up trying to figure that out a long time ago.
Yeah,
Speaking of wrapping up, we still have 4 shows.
All right. We can move along.
Yeah,
I hope next week will be a little better in terms of not having to suspend my disbelief of things happening, but it'll probably be worse. But it'd be nice to see.
I like the drama. And overall, I've liked the show. I think that this and the other ones were good too, but I really liked this one. But I think too, like we were, and everybody was waiting to see, Rick and Michonne. Like it was the story everybody wanted to see,
Yeah, that part of the story is working really well for me. Them being together. Yeah.
Ark says they have a chopper.
Yeah, I mean, this show doesn't have any people fly around by helicopter with multiple like fuel depots all around the country. So
I feel like I would have liked more on the CRM in any of the series to explain a lot of the stuff like that. Like, because the CRM is like sort of all powerful. It's like one of those villains that's just like they have so much power that they can do things that aren't ever explained. I would like to get more backstory on that and how, like, we didn't get a whole lot. We got a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Well, yeah, because they're like super powerful and yet no one seems to know they exist. And they fly around in helicopters, but rarely on the other shows did anyone ever see a helicopter, right?
Yeah.
So we're not going to get that unless there's going to be a whole other series. And I have my doubts about whether they can get these two for another.
You know what, though? You said that, though. I kind of was thinking about it. You're right. A lot of places they didn't see helicopters. But you know what? They're so adamant about leaving behind no people that know what's going on. I kind of wonder if every time they go through an area, maybe they drop that gas or whatever. So that way anybody who saw the helicopter is taken care of,
Except they didn't do that in Fear. They didn't.
No, but they wanted them to see it there. I'm just saying, like in general, that they're not leaving behind people that necessarily have seen it. And they don't, I mean, it's not like they're traveling everywhere across the country either. I mean, the country's big. I don't know that every person would have necessarily seen a helicopter, but
yeah.
It depends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anyway.
Well, next.
What are we doing next?
Season finale. So, and like I said, if anybody wants to get that, or shown design, that I at least got it up, head over to my quickly made store. I just thought some people might like the, shown if you're a fan. And also, like you can, I've said before, help support us by getting something cool in the process. So, alrighty. So what are we going to do? Whoa, I just almost knocked that down. So what do we want to do now? Which show do we want to do next? President Alien?
Sure.
Okay. Which episode number is this? I'm looking for what episode?
6.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Okay. This is the one where Heather breaks up with him, right?
Heather breaks up with Harry, and he's very upset, and that takes up most of the episode.
Okay, that's what I
and the roommate squabble.
Yeah. Jay has moved in, and she's a total slob, and it's getting on Darcy's nerves, and it turns into like some people are getting really mean with each other on the show. There's a lot of people saying like some like
really cool things.
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, they're really at odds. And I mean, that was really Kate went to a like alien abduction support group.
Oh, with Liv.
Those are the 3 main things that happened. Oh, and Liv confronted her grandmother.
Yeah. Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
Those scenes were funny. Oh, she gave the poor lady a heart attack. That part.
Oh well. She's
But yeah, it was nice to see her stand up for herself. But I do like this stuff with Liv and
Hank, Sheriff Hank.
With the wife. You just said. I just keep calling
Kate.
Her name is Kate. Why do I just keep wanting to call her by her real name? I guess that's why I'm like.
I call her the wrong name all the time. Also.
I know you do, but I can't. At least mine makes sense. Yours, I don't know where the hell you got from.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kate. I like the stuff with her with Liv, and that it's nice that Liv has somebody too that kind of believes her, and I think Kate needs that right now too, like the same friendship. But I'm enjoying that part.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I think the Darcy and Asta stuff was the stuff I enjoyed most this episode. And I enjoyed Darcy and Ben also, and I especially enjoyed the part where I remember that you and I had a discussion last week about why Darcy was trying to help Ben, and I was like, she's not helping Ben, she's helping herself because she feels guilty for not believing him, and now she's
And they
like,
have the conversation, yeah.
and they had that conversation this week about that. But I'm on. So Darcy's wrong there, but I'm on Team Darcy with the whole Jay thing. Like, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
she's not. She's letting her do whatever she. I mean, I get she wants her daughter there, but like she's letting her run all over her and not really doing the right thing.
That's the problem. Is Asta's trying to be her Jay's buddy because she feels
right.
You know,
friend,
Asta feels guilty for giving her up for adoption. So, you know, has this opportunity to bond with her, but she's being her buddy and not her mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's trying to be her friend, and she doesn't want to. And that's probably why Jay wasn't getting along with her mother, her adoptive mother. You know, they had a fight, and Asta's like, "Can I come live?" Jay wants to come live with Asta, and I bet it's the same thing. That she's being a typical teenager, being a giant pain in the ass, and she thinks she can, go stay. I mean, she knows exactly what's going to happen. That Asta's going to, be her friend and not her mom. And this is how teenagers act. Like, I was looking at that big pile of like crap all around the couch, and I was like, yeah, that's a teenager's bedroom. I don't know. You've been through it, AJ, with a few teenagers. You've seen that before, right?
Yes, I have.
So yeah, that storyline was my favorite part of this week. I think all the, her part with Ben is a little. I mean, Asta's right about. She's like, Darcy didn't tell you because, like, I thought you might tell somebody, and guess what? You went immediately to Ben with like the information that you had, right? Like, she's kind of not wrong there. I
did like when the guy in the helicopter turned off the headphones. He's like, I'm not listening to that. And they're still at each other. It was funny. The other thing I'm looking at this. The other thing that happened is with the sheriff, that he finds out that Lena's son's been following him, who kind of yells at him. I mean, he does yell at him. Not that he doesn't deserve it. He does deserve it. And he maybe gives him. Hopefully, will give him a little bit of a wake up call about how he treated her.
I don't know. I think they're making a big deal out of like. I think like he broke up with her because he has these like ideas about like a man should pay and hold the door or whatever, and he's got these sort of like. But I mean, he didn't say you can't have a job or you have to. I mean, I feel like they're.
I think the problem, at least in my opinion, is more that they didn't talk about it. Like, if he had said something like, hey, I know you have money to pay for this, but it makes me feel emasculated or something, like maybe they could have had a discussion, and then she would have understood where he was coming from instead of him just doing what he does. Like, he does.
No, she understood it completely. That was why she was like,
but
it's gonna work.
He's also not willing to talk about it. Like whether she understands it or not, he doesn't get it, I think, is the problem.
I mean, we all see that he's being stupid, but it's who he is, and he's got a lot of those issues. I mean, how many times has Liv been like, "Hey, this, and this," and he's like, "You're crazy," and then he figured, and then what she said is right, and he's like, "Hey, I figured it out."
Yeah.
He's, and the sad part is like, Mike's a very complex character. We've always said that about him and it's not excusing anything, but he really doesn't see, like, somebody needs to just smack him and so that he can see himself. Like video, somebody needs to like take a video of him doing all these different things and play it back for him.
Yeah.
He's
or give
not
him a scenario, or give him I guarantee you, give him a scenario and be like, such and such a thing and such that, and he'd probably be like, well, that's ridiculous, and then they'd be like, that was you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really need to wake up call.
I mean, I think I guess he's like, this show is using him as like a model of toxic masculinity, so to speak, but it's a comedy and you can only make him so toxic.
Well, he's also not trying. I mean, not that that's not an excuse. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like there's people that are like that do it to be mean, and people like him that he's just so freaking clueless. Like, he's not trying to be mean to women. He is, and I'm saying that's not an excuse. He still has no right to do it. But at least he's not doing it on purpose. That's why I feel like you said, yeah, somebody needs to like show him what he's doing because he's not seeing it.
I mean, just because I don't know. I think you're letting him off the hook. He's so secure in his privilege as a man that he runs roughshod. He takes credit for all of Liv's ideas. I mean, that is not just like, I mean, he literally like prevents her from advancing at work by stealing all of her ideas to aggrandize himself and make himself seem better than he really is at his job, which he's actually terrible at, right? I mean, it's not just like, oh, I should pay, or I mean, it's really bad. But it's only so bad, and they play it all for laughs, right? And so I feel like,
you know what the worst part is? Everybody on the show, they let him get away with it, and that's actually part of the problem too. Liv occasionally tries, and then she's like, she gives up. The girl, Torres, she didn't say anything. She was just like, yeah, this isn't gonna work. She kind of says something to him, but not really. You know what I mean? Like, people kind of like dance around things with Mike, and they never just say,
quit being an asshole.
Exactly what the problem is. Like, yeah, they kind of let him get away with it. And you know what? I feel like eventually we're gonna find out. There's gonna be some reason behind it. We're gonna get a flashback or something. Maybe his dad will talk about his childhood or something. There's gonna be something that they're going to have the cause of this, and then maybe he'll work on it to get better eventually. I don't know. I mean, it's a comedy show, so I don't know how deep they're gonna get with it.
I mean, Asta's father gave him a little bit of it this week when he was like, well, you were raised by your dad without your mom around, and he had certain ideas, but they played it a little bit like old-fashioned ideas. They didn't play it like, you steal credit at work, you asshole, right?
Yeah. I did like, though, how he went with Liv to her grandmother's and sort of stood by her.
That's the thing. And then he goes and does like that. He can see when other people are doing it, but not when he himself are doing things like that.
True.
Yeah. That storyline, I remember a few weeks ago when I said you guys got her grandmother, it was so mean, and then they just dropped it and never came back to it, and it was like bothering me. And
they came back to it.
And they came back to it, right? People are having some real issues to be resolved this year. I did like that. I'm a little over the Harry in love antics and the Harry being broken up antics. I'm glad Jamie said this last week that she was glad they sort of zipped through it in one episode because it's a little too much. And I'm also a little like, I like Alan Tudyk and I like what he's doing with Harry, but how come every other alien can talk and act like a normal human, and like Alan Tudyk is still forced to like make faces and voices? Like his
girlfriend didn't act normal.
Yeah,
Heather was a little nuts.
Yeah, Heather was
not as bad, but not as bad as
not
Harry.
as bad as Harry, but
she didn't pull faces and speak in a voice and like have spasms and stuff like he does, right? Like they have not let they haven't let Harry like become more human.
Become more adult.
To be fair, maybe he's like that when he's in alien form too.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think he is.
Maybe it's just the person it's the person he is. It's not so much him misunderstanding human things. It's just how he is normally. Maybe that's why they said, hey, why don't you, maybe that's why his species was like, why don't you go blow up Earth?
Yeah.
Maybe they were tired of him on their home planet.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason that he has all these children that he hasn't seen.
They want to spend him. Speaking of children he hasn't seen, the baby alien showed up at the end of the episode.
Thing's so cute.
It is pretty cute, but it killed a man and took his body. And it said, "I'm coming to kill my father."
Yeah.
So what's all that about? Any ideas? I was like, did I forget? Did I miss something?
So
Last time I saw, he like sent the baby away to be safe and stayed, on the planet to complete his mission. Right?
Yeah.
He sent the baby away to be safe. So, and the baby, I don't know why the baby's back.
she'll see.
I guess we shall see about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's about all we had going on there, huh?
Well, no, there was one. Heather has a niece named Knees.
Oh yeah, yeah. Her niece is named Knees. Yeah. And that's I do kind of appreciate like Joseph, the gray hybrid's like nonstop frustration when talking to like almost anyone. When he talks to Harry, when he talks to Heather.
How am I losing to you people?
You guys are so dumb. What was funny but gross though was her cleaning out his gills. That was disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Yeah.
He's funny
that was pretty funny. Yeah, that was a pretty good joke.
Yeah. But yeah, Joseph is, he's a little more normal, and he just looks at them like, "What is wrong with you?" A lot of times.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, maybe we can wrap that one up and move along, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
3-body or Constellation?
I don't care.
Constellation.
Okay.
All right.
Is this the end of it yet, or is there still another?
No,
episode?
this is the second to last episode.
What number is that? Is it
7?
7.
Okay.
This episode was kind of amazing and kind of like what. And I love seeing like everything that we saw in like episode 1, but now from the perspective of the Alices.
Yeah.
It was
and now we got it in context.
Yeah. And yeah, it was great. And seeing the 2 Alices and like all of that was, that was really the centerpiece of the episode, all that going on up there at the cabin. And the Alices, I love the way, I like the way they had the 2 Alices are not, like they're not so freaked out. I think because they're little kids still, or they're like at an age still where they don't know this is impossible, or they believe it can be possible, right? Like I think that.
Well, the Alice, I guess we'll call her the Prime Alice. She heard the tapes.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's a little easier for her, I guess. But then again, they've also been having visions for a while, which I still don't get that. I need an explanation to that. I better get one to why these, the Alices who weren't in space were affected by this. The only connection I can make is they were on the iPad, but I feel like that's kind of loose. That's kind of weak that they're on the iPad. Yet people that were physically there weren't affected, except for her mom and
Paul.
No,
we talked about this, or maybe Jamie and I talked about it when you weren't here.
You and I talked about it. Yeah, no, you and I talked about it 2 weeks ago.
I think it's because they set this up originally as the observer effect, and I think it's because Alice saw it through the iPad.
So we discussed that. I feel like that's weak.
And the other people in the spaceship didn't see it the way Paul and Alice did, right?
Yes.
I think they are trying to play that, but I agree it doesn't really. it doesn't make tons of sense that she was able to, because the other people don't. I mean, we've said before, was it because of the machine, or not the machine, whatever it is, the cow that she stole? Is it because Alice has been around that? I don't know. I mean, I don't know that you necessarily have to know, but it's annoying. I agree. Like, I want them to explain it.
I mean, I
Well,
think
yeah, they need to, because the only people, because the three other people that have been affected by it were all in space, and we're pretty sure Irina's been affected by it too, because I'm pretty sure she's the dead astronaut
yeah.
or cosmonaut.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the iPad observer theory is getting stronger as we have as nothing else emerges. But also, I feel like I felt really like a big clue with the cat. Like, we basically saw Schrodinger's cat in this episode.
Oh, this was that episode. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
We saw the cat alive, we saw the
Oh my
cat
God.
dead, and then we saw the cat both alive and dead. Right? When the live cat runs over and the dead cat is there. And I was like, oh, Schrodinger's
Yeah, I
cat.
said about that to the showrunners. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Observer effect, right? Like, I'm feeling better about that, and more confused about the idea of like liminal space, and like why can Joe why can you sometimes see it in the mirror but not always, right? Or why do you have to be
Well, in this one, her husband seems to see Joe for like a few seconds.
Yeah.
So that is, to me, even more confusing.
Well, yeah, but maybe that's because he's now in a liminal space, right? Like, the cabin is definitely a liminal space.
Don't forget when she was in that office that she broke into, and those guys came in, they were cleaning stuff up or taking stuff, whatever. And then for a split second, he saw her.
Yeah.
So
that's right. Yeah.
I think it's because I think the reason that I think the reason Magnus could see her was because she was shifted into their reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a lot of times unclear whether she's shifting or the things she's seeing are shifting or what. So yeah, that makes sense, saying at that part it was like her that shifted, and that's why you could see her. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you, I love the way they're filming it with these scenes and everything. Like that scene, especially when she's giving her, Alice CPR and everything, and she's talking to the other Alice, and then Magnus sees them, and then like you see the crowd of the cops and everybody coming towards her, but then the angle shifts and it's Magnus's flashlight, and then it pans back around, and then it's them. I just really like the way they're doing the cinematography with all that and everything.
Yeah,
I think it's being done really well, because it just adds to the what the hell is going on here effect.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I feel so bad for Joe, because they're going to throw her into a loony bin right now. Oh my God.
Yeah, and
and the one person that could maybe help her isn't there anymore. Henry and Bud switched.
Oh yeah, that was amazing, right? And that was because Henry picked up the cow, which now we know why conveniently it was so easy for Joe to steal it and put it in like her lunch bag or whatever, and like carry it around with her, and she's not really thought about it or looked at it. It's just like a MacGuffin that she brought along to make Henry and Bud switch at the right moment. But that was kind of like heartbreaking when Henry like bloops into Bud's crap hole apartment and Paul's been shot, right?
Yeah.
Because they're so close. They're such close friends, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the second heartbreaking moment, the worst one was when Alice was like, she's like, "Can you come?" And Joe's like, "No, I have to like save like this Alice," and other Alice, Swedish Alice, is like, "But I'm your Alice, right?" And Joe doesn't go back. Like Joe.
Well, because regardless which Alice is hers, she's not good. And you know what? And like she said, she's like, I'm not even sure I can stay, even if I want to. Like,
Well, yeah,
it's not really Joe's
she's
choice.
supposed to be dead she's the only person who's dead on the other side. Like.
Yeah. Well, Paul's dead on this side, though.
Paul's dead on this side, yeah. Paul's dead on this side, and he went back to the side that he's from, where he's supposed
No,
to be.
Paul and Joe are both on the wrong side.
Yeah, they're both dead on the other side, and now Paul might be dead on both sides.
Nah, I can't. I think that's kind of pointless to kill Paul on both sides. I feel like they'll save him.
Yeah,
but the thing is I think they kind of, I don't know. You don't think he served his purpose? Like I feel like he was only there to show the counterbalance to what happened to her, to show that there was, the opposite side.
Yeah, but now that, especially now that Henry's there, I think he definitely has more purpose. Like a conversation with Henry is definitely needed.
yeah, and like I really want Henry to be able to come back to be on the wrong side because Bud is such a jerk. Now, granted, Bud,
yeah,
Bud,
yeah. I mean, technically, Henry and Bud are on their correct sides now.
They are, except Henry's gonna have to live with like Bud's consequences, right? Like, yeah, bad stuff happened and Bud's career was ruined, but like he, I feel like part of who he is right now has to be his own fault, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And he's a total jerk because like Joe's like, here, take this kid who like is about to die from the fire, and Henry like dumps her, or Bud dumps her in the snow and walks away, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's no way Bud can take up Henry's life and be successful. Like the life
he's too much of a jerk.
He's
not only that, he has no idea everything that Henry's been doing the last 60 years.
Right. And he's an alcoholic, and he's he's not going to be able to like assume that role. He's going to wind up in the loony bin over there also, right?
Yeah.
The only hope now is Arena, who we didn't even see this episode. I just realized.
Well, we saw the Valia at the end. Valia, is that what it is? I want to say Vecna. Yes. I keep wanting to say Vecna, but that's from Stranger Things.
Yeah, that's Stranger Things. Yeah, we saw the skeleton cosmonaut.
Yeah, we saw the skeleton cosmonaut who was saying like, "Come to me if you want to save your mother," and then like she wakes up, and Magnus tells her that Arena has Joe, and she's like, "Oh, we have to go save her," right?
Yeah,
like she knows. So I mean, yeah, Alice is going to turn out to be like kind of a key here now, and Magnus. So this Magnus Prime, he didn't see like it was other Magnus who thinks Joe is dead who saw Joe. This Magnus didn't have any like double Alice experience.
No.
He has no reason to believe any of it.
Yeah. Well, because his wife is there, so he doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like this one a lot. I mean, there's a lot to really. I just watched it today and I haven't had a chance to mull it over really, but there's a lot of this like quantum
entanglement. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I said early on, like in episode 2, I said I was getting counterpart vibes. Now I really am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Definitely. And I really want to watch it again also because I like, when Joe shows up in the red car or she shows up in the blue car, and when the painting switch, and there's like so many things that you can like watch to give you clues to what's going on. And I mean, all that's great, but like the kids just held my attention so much. And I got to find out more about if each twin is playing one Alice or if they just take turns.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're each playing one or the other.
They're not like playing whatever
scene
is their turn. They're not switching. They're each playing one character. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So, yeah, I think there's going to have to be a season 2. Don't you think?
Oh, it's got to be. I mean, it's getting great reviews. So.
Yeah.
Not going to wrap everything up in one episode.
All right. Well, that kind of
planned, but whether or not they do is always neither here nor there.
Yeah, I bet they will. It's getting well
Yeah.
reviewed. Yeah. And there seems to be a
And
lot
and
more.
it's got to get renewed because Stephen King gave it a glowing like review.
Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah, and there's just too much to wrap up in one episode, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I not for nothing, Apple is really good about renewing their shows. I mean, Apple knows that they're the place to be right now.
Oh yeah. I think they do. Yeah, they're having great success.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't wait to see what we find next week. So all right, that brings us to Three Body Problem. I watched episode 1. I think AJ and I have you seen the whole thing, Jamie?
No, I've seen more than episode 1, but I'm not going to remember which episode is which. I'm trying to look it up so I don't. I'll just
Episode 1. Episode 1 ends with the sky blinking.
Oh, so this is the one. Does this have flashbacks in it too, though?
But it begins with the the Cultural Revolution.
It starts in 1967.
It starts with the Cultural Revolution in China and everything that the Rosalind Chow character like goes through, which was kind of interesting. I have read that the book, like some of the characters in this show, are not in the book. They had to be invented partly because in the book there's a narrator that fills you in on a lot of stuff, and so. You know, the 5 or 6 physicists that show up at the funeral, some of them are like created to fill in some of the gaps this is another book that was thought to be like not adaptable to television.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot going on. So yeah, this is where I'm just trying to be careful what I say. You guys talk and I'll comment on what you say because I'm going to end up spoiling something without meaning to.
There's a lot going on and like I don't know what's going on yet, I would say is how I would summarize it. Don't you think, AJ? Like what the hell's going on?
I mean, apparently science took a holiday because all of a sudden after 60 years, these scientific tests that have been pretty consistent are apparently, I don't know what isn't making sense now, but they haven't really gotten into that.
Yeah.
But science ain't making sense anymore. It's put the entire scientific community on its ear. All these scientists are now committing suicide. Looks like it's connected to that. It looks, some of them have countdowns. So we see Augie has a countdown. I don't know what the countdown means because I mean most of the people that have committed suicide also had the countdown because of the federal guy going after Benedict Wong's character investigating, but then we see that one picture he has of the guy who has that weird VR helmet thing, and then when I don't know anybody's names yet, the Asian woman puts the VR head thing on. And freaks the hell out because that's a little weird. Like it seems kind of cool at first, and then there's a skeleton, and then there's shit over here, and it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, weird.
I feel like her putting that on was a bad idea.
I think the thing is, at least I feel like with this show, and granted I've seen it a little farther, but since there is like multiple storylines, there's like a lot going on to keep track of, and they're kind of like weaving in and out of each other, and they're such separate stories. I'm curious like when they're gonna, I guess, converge a little bit more, but yeah, it's freaky. And I was gonna say the one thing about the countdown, that's where it ends up with that girl or something tells her to watch at a certain time, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, watch it. She asks if the sky's ever winked at her, and to look up at the sky at midnight, and the sky's blinking at midnight, and it's blinking her exact countdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, but there seems to be an element of like fate, like science versus faith, because there was this part with the Cultural Revolution where they talked about if you believe that physics leaves room for God to exist, then they wanted the father to renounce that, and then later. The woman that meets up with Augie smoking a cigarette on the steps, she sort of implies that like God has a solution. And then she says it can go away if you just stop all your science experiments. Not really sure if there's a thing there, like if it's going there or not. But there seems to be like a tension between science and faith. I don't know. I could have been
Yeah, I'm
primed.
not very sure either.
I could have been primed for that because of other stuff we've watched, right? But
Well, I mean that statement alone is pretty telling.
yeah. Yeah, so I don't know what that's all about. And then, the Rosalind Chow character, the woman who's placed in the re-education camp in the 60s and 70s, like she reads Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, which was, truly a landmark book. I've never read it, but I know a lot about it, right? It was the book that launched the environmental movement in this country and really around the world, when DDT was like killing, bird eggs and things like that. She's like the premier, like environmental journalist, author kind of person. So, and it looks like that experiment that she was sucked into wasn't really about physics. It looked like I don't know what it was about, but then in the end, the soldiers say it's about communication. Who are you trying to communicate with? Like whoever's out there. And I was like, oh, are they trying to talk to God or are they trying to talk to aliens? I think they're trying to talk to God.
Yeah, for a while I was questioning whether it was aliens or God too. I won't tell you, but
I think it's God. I'm not really sure, but
I think they did a good job setting it up so you don't know one way or another until you do.
Yeah. I think maybe Augie is going to die. Augie is the girl who has the main countdown going on, and it ends with the blink is her countdown.
I think it depends if she listens or not. I think.
What?
Well, if she stops her science stuff, she won't die.
Yeah, I mean, at least that's what they're implying anyway.
If she stops her experiments, then she won't die?
Right.
Yeah, that's what the girl told her.
Yeah, I can't decide if she's the main character and it's about trying to stop.
I feel like she is.
Her countdown.
I think she's one of them, yeah.
Or if she is just going to be another person who dies and then another, I don't know. And I can't tell if the detective is he a main character or is he just a device to help us? His name is Da Shi.
He's in it a bit.
He's played by Benedict Wong, and I can't because he's like an actor we recognize. Does that mean he's a huge main character, or is he I don't know. Remember how the detective was so important in season 1 of The Expanse, and then he died and was not seen again?
He was kind of seen here and there.
Well, he was. We won't spoil it,
he
but
was kind of important.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where this is going.
Well, yeah, it's one episode that we've seen, so yeah.
Yeah. It just ends with the so somehow I guess the Red Coast Project in China 40 years ago and the virtual reality mask and the countdown are somehow connected. I mean, could Augie be wearing a virtual reality mask this whole time and she thinks it's all happening, but actually she's in the mask and that's why she sees the countdown? Could they be inside? I don't know.
That's an interesting thought, but I don't think. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Or do we think the woman who threw herself into the particle accelerator, that was his name, Saul's Saul, is that his name? Saul's boss?
Yeah.
Like, was she seeing the countdown also? I mean,
I
definitely
would assume she was.
the guy who scratched his own eyes out probably was seeing it, right? That's why
Yeah.
he like scratched. He wrote it and wrote and wrote and scratched his eyes out. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was good enough that I definitely want to see what happens with it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
It's well reviewed, so far. So I definitely want to see what happens with that. Yeah. But I guess we're gonna have to get another episode into it before we can really have any kind of informed discussion about what the hell is going on this show. Probably a lot of people. The whole thing came out. Are all 6 out? 6? Yeah,
I
it's
would
only
assume
6.
so.
All of it is, isn't it?
It's
I mean,
Netflix.
It's
Yeah.
Netflix, so they probably dropped them all together.
Yeah.
It's only 6, so they're probably all out. Yeah. All right, so we'll just keep up with this and see what happens next week, I guess, and see if we can have any kind of intelligent theory about where it's going to go.
Do you want to do 2 for next week?
Yeah, let's talk about the next 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to the midway point. That's a good idea.
Okay.
All right. Well, that just leaves Shogun.
Shogun. Yep.
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Well, I
I was
guess
say, do you
Alright.
have anything else before we get started on that, Jamie?
no. I talked at the beginning about the interviews and stuff that were coming. So wait, we got a comment. I didn't see. I missed one.
Art's gonna watch 3-Body Problem now.
In a minute. Yeah, it's good.
Problem.
Did you guys find it slow though? I found it a little slow at the beginning. Like it's hard to get into because there's so many different things going on. I feel like
I didn't feel that way.
I did at the beginning. I don't know. I didn't have to get more into it, but
I didn't, but the first 5 minutes take place during the Cultural Revolution in China, and maybe some people who don't know what they're watching might think they're watching a historical drama and not. I'm not saying you did, Jamie, but I mean, I thought that was really compelling, and it's really important setup. I think to see where Jin, where Jin's a physicist, but I feel like her mother is. That's going to end up being really foundational to like where this is going, I think. And like what, I mean, her mother betrayed her father right there in the first minute of the show, right?
yeah, that was awful.
Well,
I mean, awful, like sad, awful, not like done awfully. Just, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then she's sent away, and she's like been through all. I mean, and then I mean, the Red Coast. I don't know. I feel like wherever this is going, she has a lot of information to share with these other characters. And we're going to get a big exposition dump out of her at some point about what she knows.
Yeah, and then I actually, even that first episode when I realized that she I know it's all going to come together, but seeing right away at the end, towards the end of the episode, that she knows them, and that she, I'm thinking, why hasn't she? There's going to be some kind of connection, and I don't know why she hasn't made the connection already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her daughter is the one that jumped, right?
No. Wait, Veer's mother?
Wait, maybe I'm mixing up. I'm trying to look at the cast list and see, and I was going to say Arcane if it has layers. Yeah, as long as it's not just like you don't want to keep watching it or don't want to quit watching it. Good.
Yeah,
but
Veer's mother.
That jumped is
Yeah.
So that's how they're all connected. That's all I was saying. How the group's connected.
Yeah, it's Veer's mother who is going to turn out to be the woman from 60s China.
Well, we already know that. We already know that's her because when the other character says, "Is that you?"
Yeah,
and then shows the picture of her, and then I mean it even transitions back to the 67.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing ending with the blinking lights in the sky, and you knew it was Morse code, right? I knew right away it was Morse code because
it was pretty obvious.
Because Saul had just said, "Oh, it's a code. Maybe it's like Morse code," and then boom, that's what it was. I mean, that was just. I mean, that was like unbelievable. It's like not anything that you could. even ever imagined could happen. And like, who's doing that? I don't know.
Only, well, probably God, because he's the only one that can make the stars blink. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that, I mean, visually it looks really great, right? They like, there's some big set pieces. There's the super collider that Vera throws herself into, and there's like the giant Red Coast, the big satellite dish there, the big transmitter at the Red Coast experiment. And like even the countdown is kind of cool looking, the way it's like kind of sparkly, right? Flickery.
Yeah, there's
I mean, that's all really well done. And so I hope that the characters will emerge just as well. Like, none of the characters are really that compelling yet because we just don't know them that well yet, right? Except for Rosalind Chow. Rosalind Chow, I think, is the most compelling character because we know her backstory, right?
Yeah. We spent more time with her than anybody in the first episode, so
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Alrighty. Well, I will post my link one more time, and I will get out of here. Like I said, just look out for my interviews and everything, and I will see everybody next week, or talk to everybody next week. I guess not see you, but
yep.
Okay. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.
Night, Jamie.
I might eventually have time to see Shogun, I hope, but I don't know. I'm kind of now pretty far behind.
Yeah, you are getting far behind.
Okay, well, have fun.
All right.
Bye-bye. Happy Easter. Bye-bye.
So this was episode 5 of Shogun?
Yes, it's called Broken to the Fist.
Broken
5.
Fist, yeah.
This was a pretty good episode, I thought.
I think they've all been good. Did you talk about last week's at all since I wasn't here?
We did, but we can talk about it. I only talked about it a little bit. Last week's episode.
I'll be honest with you. I don't remember which happened where, so I'll probably just mishmash them together.
Just talk. Last week was a lot about the canon, about Engine, Blackthorn trying to train these guys to shoot cannon, and the nephew, Toranaga's son, being like duped by nephew Oni into basically starting, into killing Josen. That was kind of amazing. I talked last week about sort of the amazing scene with these guys getting mowed down by cannonballs, which I didn't expect that level of gore in this show for some reason.
Oh my God, it was so funny. I really didn't think nothing much of it. But when that scene happened with the cannonballs and they took out Shogun and his people, Artie goes, "Holy shit!" And it's actually funny. It's actually funny because I haven't finished it yet. Because Alyssa and I have you watched? Have you seen Napoleon?
No, I haven't. I heard it was bad.
I completely forgot, but apparently they're going to release the 4-hour director's cut.
No way.
Ridley Scott has a 4-hour cut. Basically, I guess he shot it because they cut so much out of, it's 2.5 hours, the theater release.
Yeah.
Not having that other hour and a half, I guess people say that it like really feels like it's missing stuff.
All right, so it might be a much better film when you see the director's cut.
So Alyssa and I started watching it. We got like an hour in, and there is a very graphic scene of a horse getting shot with a cannonball.
Oh yeah.
So when that scene in Shogun happened, I was kind of like,
because you've just seen something similar.
I just saw something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of a great. It was a great move on Oni's part, and we saw it play out more this episode, and it's interesting to see how good he is at this, and how he's better at. So his uncle is Yabushige, right? His uncle is like a schemer and a double agent, but Omi is really kind of way better at this. But is it Omi or is it Kiku, the courtesan that he's in love with? Like, I feel like maybe she kind of. Well, we saw Oni put the bug in Baby Toranaga's ear, right?
Yeah.
His name? I forget his name.
I can't remember the son's name either.
It starts with an N. Nagakado. I'm probably saying it wrong, but I wonder if the courtesan is working Omi.
She could be. Anything's possible.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I really like about that whole thing is Toranaga shows up shortly after, when they're cleaning up the bodies. And I'm like, this isn't going to end well. And then Toranaga totally like just says, okay, like he rips his son a new one,
Yeah.
but he uses it to his advantage because he's like, all right, basically Toranaga's like, I can't change this. It happened. What's my next step? And and then he's like, oh well, this was a good move because now my enemy has to come to me instead of me going to him, so I'll be able to thin out the herd, and this works in my favor. And
He's
I was like, I just love that.
Yeah, he's like, we could never attack Osaka, that big walled city, and win, but this way they'll come here. And
I love the way that played out. And oh my god, and he plays him so. He's like, oh, it's clearly, my son didn't think of this on its own. So I wonder who, is this you whispering in his ear? And he's like, oh, I would never do such a thing. I think it was so and so. And then he's like, oh, that person's not smart enough. All right, it was my nephew. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna make your nephew the leader of the battalion now. And he's like, wait, what? Like he's totally fucking with him. He's messing with him so hard. It's hilarious to watch. And it's so Artie showed me a meme tonight, and it's got him and a picture of Littlefinger, and it caption reads the same but different. And it totally is. Like he's playing. Everybody knows he's playing both sides, depending on who wins, and everybody calls him out on it all the time.
Yep. Except Littlefinger was a master, and this guy is like a little bumbling. Toranaga also got him with the spy, right? There's a spy in the village.
Yeah, that was good.
And Yamashige wants to find out who it is, and when Toranaga says find him another spy, I was like, oh, are they going to get another person involved? And then in the end, they blame it on the gardener, right?
Which was a brilliant move.
Yeah,
because he's already dead, so nobody else can get hurt because of it.
Yeah, and they just make it like it was the gardener, and then that was pretty brilliant. Also, Toranaga's playing this game on a level above everyone else, right?
Oh my god. Yes,
even going back to when he was like, okay, I'm going to resign. Oh, you guys don't have a quorum. You can't impeach me.
Yeah. I actually, my first thought when he said find a new spy, I was like, how funny would it be and smart if they tried to they planted things on Omi to make it look like that he was actually the spy and create a little dissension in the ranks between him and his uncle.
Yeah.
I was like, that would be hardcore.
That would be pretty cool. That would have been pretty awesome.
But what they did was pretty smart too. I felt bad about the gardener though, and I felt so bad for Blackthorn because he was like, whoa, hold on. I was like, and I was like, what the hell? I was like, she's like, you say, she was like, what the hell? She said, you said anybody touches that, they die. I killed him, and I'm like, holy crap. You killed the poor gardener because he couldn't take the stench anymore.
Right?
And it's like, it was bad, but it was a language barrier thing. He didn't mean, we know that Blackthorn didn't mean die. It was just the only word he had to convey to them what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
So that totally backfired. I don't understand what the point of that was, though. Why he was hanging that pheasant up in the first place like that.
He was wanted it to at one point he said it needs to be cured, but when you cure meat, you cure it with smoke or with salt. You don't just hang it there. I mean, there is dry aged meat, but you pick the feathers.
Exactly, you defeather it first too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that
What is
was,
he doing?
yeah. I mean, it was a good, uh, yeah. I mean, it served its purpose in two ways. One is that when he made that stew, and that like all the Japanese are so grossed out and they refuse to eat it, right? And like I I love the way they turn this around. That like all the white Europeans always come to the new land and like think they're above everyone and call everyone barbarians and like
Yeah,
he's like when the doctor was working on him, he's calling him what was he calling him, a witch doctor or a
something
vampire or
like that.
something? And he's
I
always
ended up
like,
calling him a pimp. He called him a pimp in the end.
yeah, right. Um, and he referred to Kiko the courtesan as a prostitute in this episode, and he's very, you know, he's the one who's very coarse and the Japanese are like, "Oh my god, take a damn bath. What are you eating?" Like, right? They're
Yeah,
very so
but it's also interesting. The way he perceives women, as opposed to how the Japanese of that time period see women as possessions. That whole scene with Mariko and her husband, and that whole dinner scene, and the whole drinking contest.
yeah. And yet I think there's also maybe a little issue of class, like he comes from a very lowly class in London. I think like in the court in 1600, there's plenty of women who are being married off to men they don't love to form
That's
alliances
fair.
and
That's
who
fair.
are right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's like out of his element in terms of class also,
Yeah.
I think.
But to be fair, I mean, he's not wrong. You know what I mean? Like they talk down to him and
Yeah.
he's barbarian and everything, but at least he knows how to treat a woman. You know?
Well, I mean, he did run off and leave his wife with a bunch of kids because he felt just
Well, yeah.
didn't want to deal. But yeah, you're right. He I mean, I agree with you. That he like he he thinks you shouldn't beat your wife. That's objectively the right
Yeah.
move.
Yeah.
Um he also, he's similar to Toranaga in that he's very offended by kind of what he sees as senseless death. Like Mariko keeps trying to explain to him like dying for honor is like the most important thing you can do, and that for the gardener, like he died an honorable death. It was a better death than he ever could have hoped for, I think she said. I wasn't sure if she was alluding to the fact that he gets credit for being the spy in the end.
Well, that was after the fact, I think. So that
Oh,
hadn't happened yet. So, um, no,
yeah.
I agree with Ark. Um, she really liked that he put the garden right. I thought that was really cool too. I was like, oh wow, he's like he gets it. you know,
It, yep.
after the earthquake.
Although it was a hard lesson for him to learn, right? Like he finally
Yeah,
gets it that like when he says I killed that man, like that his
yeah,
words, like she's been trying to explain to him like how this stuff works and he's got to be more careful. And oh yeah, Art points out he was already dying. He said he's like I'll go get that thing that nasty bird off there cuz I'm already sick.
sure.
And he was already dying. So I guess that's what Mariko means by it was better than he could hope for because he would have just died of like whatever disease he
Yeah,
has or whatever. And but I mean that was I kind of enjoyed seeing Blackthorn learn that lesson that she's been trying to explain to him a little bit. Um,
Oh, and I
what
thought
did,
it was back to the dinner party real quick. When he was shooting the arrow, two things were impressive of that whole thing. I was like, first of all, I was like, he's gonna hit the post both times. Like Blackthorn thinks that he's totally dissing on Mariko, which he kind of was, but he's gonna hit the post both times. And I love how she just sat there without moving. She didn't even flinch. Obviously, it probably was special effects to make that whole scene happen and everything, but she didn't move at all. Like she didn't even blink.
no, I feel like maybe she's been through that before or something similar, or she knows better than to react to anything he does.
Yeah,
Or as she says later, I won't even give him my hatred. Like I won't give him anything. I won't even give him my hatred.
yeah,
Because she hates him so much. He like when he goes one to Toranaga, he's like, ever since the day I married her, she's been like ice. I thought maybe she'd come around. I felt like maybe he in the beginning, maybe he had hope for a a real marriage or a real partnership with her, or maybe he really loved her or at least liked her. I mean, he definitely was eyeing her across the courtyard when she was like a young, beautiful girl. I was surprised to hear him sort of give that bit of feeling up a little bit, right?
Hmm.
I mean, for her part, yeah, like as Arc 54 is saying in the chat, Mariko really, she accepted her fate and she truly wants to die. And like her husband, she feels it's cruel of him to deny her the honorable death every year, right? And then there's the big reveal where Tornaga's like, "What? Your father didn't tell you?" I thought it was so obvious to me watching that her father married her. Her father was planning to kill this guy, and he knew like he was putting his whole family in danger, and so he married her off to protect her.
Yeah.
She was the oldest and like eligible to be married, right? And he did that. It to me that seemed. I mean, I saw that, right? You saw that.
Yeah.
Mariko didn't see it. And like she has her role to play. So does Fuji, I think, the Anjin's consort, who was hurt really badly in the. I assume she's going to live. She was hurt really badly in the earthquake.
Yeah. I was actually worried about that. I was like, oh my God. I was like, if she's dead, I was like, that's going to suck.
That would really suck. That'd be terrible for her.
I was really worried about that. But, yeah, no, I feel like I really like her. You know, and it's interesting watching, you know, different cultures, especially, you know, from the 1600s. Like, she hates the idea of being his consort, but she lives up to it, you know? She doesn't shy away from it. So I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, yeah. I really like her a lot. So two other things were going on. That whole weird visit to Kiku at the brothel. Kiku, I'm pretty sure is her name. They go to the brothel. Engine gets sent to the brothel. Like after the weirdness, not weirdness, but you know, after the night that Mariko comes to Blackthorn's room, and the next day she's like, "Oh, did you enjoy that courtesan we sent to you?"
Yeah,
right.
that was funny.
Now they go, and I felt like all along, like I felt like the madam and the courtesan were both kind of saying, "Do you want us to just leave you alone here and you two can have sex?" And like is it a cover story for those two to have sex, right?
Yeah.
But Mariko knows it's too dangerous and word would definitely get out. Right? Like that's how that went down, I think, right?
Yeah.
Or did I don't know, did you feel differently about that?
I think it's just I think it's kind of how you're saying, because it's got to be played off that way, because otherwise word would definitely get out. Of course, her husband turning up alive kind of puts a even bigger problem.
Oh, I knew that was I called that, right? As soon as he was like, as soon as he's
No
supposed
body,
to
no
die,
dead.
it's like nobody, yep, no body, no death. Yep. Of course he shows up alive. Absolutely he shows up alive.
Yeah, Art brings up a good point from an earlier episode when she tells him that all eyes are on them. So yeah, they definitely did that to play it out.
Yeah. And so the only other thing going on, so this was huge also, where Lady Ochiba, the mother of the heir, like finally shows up in Osaka, right? And she's like the I mean, she's like the Cersei Lannister of the operation. She's the mother of the heir, and she's gonna play that and ride that as like far as she can.
Yeah.
And she basically is taking over. She's like, it ends when she's like, okay, from now on the council answers to me.
Yeah.
She seems to be, I mean, being the mother of the true leader gives her like all this power, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is
You know what's funny? I feel like we know that Toranaga wants the heir to come to power because he's tired of this council because it's so corrupt.
yeah,
Um,
but the kid's too
so
little.
right. So I feel like he's protecting the child and her by them being at uh, where the hell were they? Edo. And then like her coming home, like she needs to assert that kind of authority because I don't trust what the hell's name is I'm drawing a blank. What's his name? The
Who?
woman
Yeah.
she's talking to.
Ishido, I think is his name.
Oh, yes, it's Shido.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it is not in his best interest for this heir to come of age and take control because he loses all his power.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're in danger there, but her asserting herself in that manner, excuse me, definitely helps.
Yeah, and I feel
It's
it's
very
kind of
complex. Yeah, very complex game of politics.
it is, and I feel that's like a little yeah, I mean Arc 54 is pointing out that he's not is he the true heir if he was fathered by a courtesan and not by the wife? Like he's not a legitimate child in terms of right, but he's the only son of the ruler. So I guess it goes to him. And we saw that scene where his wife is like, "Okay, I'll give you this if you produce a son." Like they really need to have a son, right?
Yeah.
And if this lady
True.
can't do it, but yeah, she would, I guess, have no power if the real, what do they call him, the Tyke? I forget his name, the Taino, the guy who was the original leader. If he was alive, I guess she wouldn't have any power, and she's taken it. But I don't know. I took that as like maybe a little bit of a foreshadowing that the other woman in the show will also start to take some power. Like it looked like certainly Toranaga was encouraging Mariko to like seize some power.
Yeah.
And Fuji, like, I mean, we've seen her pull a gun last week's episode. She's not afraid to maybe take a little step. So, maybe that was some nice foreshadowing. Yep, only 2 more. I can't believe it. And then it's done. And there's a lot.
Yeah, this was 6, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this was 6. There's only 2 more to go. I'm pretty sure this was 6. Was this 5? This was 5. This was 5.
This was 5. So there's 3 more.
There's
Or
3
is there
more.
only 7?
But 6 drop. They drop on Wednesdays, so we're like,
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I just couldn't remember how many.
There's
I
8.
don't know what we were at. So
There's
okay,
8.
so there's 3 more.
This was 5. We have 3 more to discuss. Yeah. So I'm liking it. It looks great.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
I read that on the official podcast. They said that for the earthquake, they built like a cliff out of like wood and foam or whatever they build fake cliffs out of, and put all this mud on it and had the actors like throw themselves down this like mudslide several times, which they said was really a lot of fun to shoot.
That was crazy, that scene. When that earthquake started, and shit was just falling apart. I was like, what the hell? Like, at first I thought it was like hoofbeats.
So did I. When it was just a little rumbling.
I was like, well, that was unexpectedly quick. And then all of a sudden, the ground started cracking. I was like, oh my God, another earthquake. And then all of a sudden, I was like, holy crap. Like, it just devastated the village.
Yeah, people are falling in holes and stuff. And yeah.
Yep. And once again, the engine saves Toranaga.
And gets another promotion. He's basically, now he's got a fief, which I don't know if he's like, he can't go and be the boss of it because he's really a prisoner, right? Yeah. But now he's got an income. Now he's got some money. Like, I'm not like, Toranaga has to know that all of his other like vassals are going to be pissed, right?
Yeah.
Like, everybody's going to be mad and hating this guy. But he doesn't really care. I mean, maybe it's like honor dictates that he has to give him these rewards for saving his life.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm waiting for the part where Blackthorn's going to come around and give up his like I hate the Portuguese thing and just be like I love Japan and I'm going to like stay here and I'm not love Japan but I'm I like Japan and I mean he's obviously falling in love with Mariko. So he's going to end up staying, I guess. So we'll see about that.
If he survives, I mean.
Well, if he get killed, yeah. He could get killed. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think that's it for this week.
Yep, I think so.
I've had Arc 54, notice how well he's adapted to Warrior Japan. He is getting better adapted, and I like the way he's speaking a little more, I was going to say Spanish. He's speaking a little more Japanese in every episode, which I feel like is helping me see the passage of time, that as he slowly becomes better at it, like days and weeks are going by. Like there was some snow in tonight's episode, the episode we're talking about last week's, which like, but I feel like his little getting better at the language is kind of showing like that days and weeks are going by. Yeah, he's really I mean, I think it's easier to adapt to Warrior Japan when you basically are entering at the top, right? Like he gets made like basically the level of a samurai. He gets made a Hatamoto like almost right away. Now he gets promoted again. Like he doesn't have to be like some peasant struggling, but yeah, he's starting to like fit in there. So, all right. Well, I think that is it for tonight, right? Can you hear that I have a terrible cold?
I can. I've noticed your voice has been different all night. But
yeah, I started getting a cold on Thursday, and then over the weekend I went to a wedding, and they just when it didn't rain, they did it outside, except it was only like 40 degrees. So I think the cold, being out in the cold with no coat because I was a bridesmaid, like pushed my immune system over the edge, and I like woke up really sick the next day.
All right. Well, same shows next week.
Same bunch next week. All right. I might try to see Dune in the meantime.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I have not, and I'll see it when it comes out on TV.
Wait for TV. Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't impressed with the first. I mean, it looks beautiful, but I feel like they still haven't really captured the book.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I'm not a fan of Timothée Chalamet.
Well, it was pretty boring, the first one, and it was mostly just it was mostly Timothée Chalamet like staring off into the distance and brooding or being a whiner for most of it. Except when it was Zendaya looking into the distance and brooding and lost his man.
Or if it was this person looking to,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Timothée Chalamet.
Well, yeah, I don't think you're in his sweet spot there. I think maybe your daughter is more in the sweet spot of Chalamet fandom.
I don't know.
I think my niece, who's 16, loves him. So maybe I won't see. I don't know. I got a lot of work to do, and there's other good stuff on TV to watch. So all right, so we'll be back next week with these same 5 shows and maybe some surprises.
Ooh, I like surprises.
Yeah. All right. Great.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you, Arc, for being in the chat as always.
Yep. We always appreciate it. Feel free.
It's always nice to know that people are actually listening to us.
Responding to us, correcting us, agreeing with us. Yeah. It is nice. So thank you for that. All right. And thanks.
All right, Karen, have a good week.
Thanks, you too.
Go have some chicken noodle soup. Get over your cold.
I will. All right. Take it easy, everybody.
Right.
Bye-bye.
We'll be back next week. Thank you, everybody. Good night.